Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha is this morning hosting top education officials as the ministry makes public Form 1 placement for KCPE candidates of 2019. Magoha will announce the selection results for national schools following the completion of the process that largely relied on technology to place students in secondary schools. I want us to cross over to listen to what the Cabinet Secretary has had to say or is talking about at the event.
The third point, 2020 school fees guidelines. The government of the Republic of Kenya continues to provide free day secondary education, grants per learner for tuition, operations, and infrastructure improvement. Funds are disbursed to schools based on enrollment uploaded by principals on the National Education Management System, NEMIS. I've personally focused on NEMIS over the last few months and have been assured by the PS, Dr. Belio Kipsan, that all these children are captured on NEMIS. So I don't want going forward to hear that I'm unable to do this or that, because then it would mean that I was not properly briefed. Are we on the same page here? I urge all principals and boards of management to ensure that these funds are used for the intended purpose. This will enable us to further the attainment of 100% transition, which is the presidential legacy. And in order to warn you in advance, I, as Magoha, son of Magoha, I shall do a post-mortem physical audit. And only God will save you if you ignore the child who required the help, and for whatever reason you supported somebody whose families and relatives could afford to support the child. Are we on the same page here? And the money is not a small amount of money. What is it? Is it 1 point? Yes, it's 2 billion. 3 billion. You see, 3 billion can fill this room. 3 billion can fill this room. So if we select 9,000 children who have passed well, then the president will go to sleep. I will also go to sleep. Even Bailey will go to sleep. Even you will go to sleep. Isn't it? Parents are therefore advised only to pay the amount in terms of fees. Somebody is at my back. I will lead senior ministry officials on a nationwide monitoring exercise to ensure that Form 1 students are joining the schools that they were selected to, and that fee guidelines are strictly adhered to. But let me hasten to say this. I have 2.5 years to go, and we are midwifing the CBC. We shall follow the fee guidelines, but nothing stops a patriotic principal from engaging his or her board of management to see if he can persuade voluntarily people who want to improve the infrastructure of their schools. It has to be voluntary, and ensure that you do not force children that cannot afford to contribute in that exercise. Are we together here? Parents are therefore advised to only pay the amount of fees by the ministry and report any incidents of students who are turned away. Let me be very simple. Do not turn away any child from school because of school fees. Hiyo pesa ni yako. Do not, once the child comes, welcome the child, discuss school fees matters, if necessary, afterwards. Are we together here? We have a team on the ground composed of our own staff from the ministry. Teachers Service Commission has also a similar team on the ground, and I think together they can ensure that there is a seamless process. That's why I am not very happy, I will not pretend to be very happy, that my other arm, the Teacher Service Commission, is not here. Let us not continue to think backwards. We have 3 legs, and one of those legs is the Teacher Service Commission. Have you tried to sit on a 2-legged seat? You can't be stable there. So this morning we are not very stable, but I've been told that there were technicalities. Let this be the last time where you try to separate us. Because I've said we deliver as what? As one. We deliver as one government, and that's the way it is going to be. I also call on members of the public, ladies and gentlemen, to report any of the cases of learners who fail to join Form 1, and this is going to be a bottleneck. So let us work with the Ministry of Interior, coordination of national government, together with my people on the ground. Let us trace the children. Don't wait for them to come. If you find they have not come, let us go and look for them. With regard to my daughters and granddaughters who got pregnant and by the grace of God delivered at that time, can we encourage them to join schools at the same time? Because last year quite a number did not join schools. The ones who are still pregnant and are afraid of joining the schools, let them join schools. We shall allow them off time to go and deliver and come back to school. That is what the government is saying. Are we together? And where the cultures are against the process, the advantage is to who? Is to the child. We are empowering you to go against the culture and get our children to school. Are we together? The RDs, are you hearing me? Especially those in those areas. You are fully empowered to make sure the girls, even the ones who are pregnant, they are welcome to come and join schools. When it comes for time to deliver, the government is alive. We shall make sure they deliver and then go back to school. But hope that they don't get pregnant again. So, Form 1 selection process. As you are aware, I released KCPE results on the 18th of November. I wish to recognize the efforts of the multi-agency team that we worked with together. And before I go into the details, I want to say this. The team that has done this has looked at a faceless Kenyan child. It's a Kenyan child that is faceless. We don't know where the child comes from. And we have assumed that every Kenyan child must be given justice through an equal opportunity prospect. So you will find that from every region, every child has been considered. One of the things we insisted is to ensure that you don't give a child a school that the child did not apply for. Are we together? So in over 95% of the cases, you find that the child has gotten admitted to where the child applied for. But we have had problems. But the biggest problem I want to mention early is that there are those children who choose to select only 2 schools. You select Pangani, and then you select Kenya High School. I can't call my children stupid, but they are not wise. Yet you are supposed to select 11. So when you have already committed suicide yourself, we shall place you where you did not choose. And you can do whatever you like, because you started the whole process. Are we together? The second problem we have had is with regards to some urban areas like Nairobi and Mombasa and Malindi, where it seems there is such a high concentration of private schools pushing children to get very high scores, and there are no high schools around there. So with those things in mind, ladies and gentlemen, let me continue with this. A total of 1,083,456 candidates sat for the exam, of which 1,075,201 have been placed in secondary schools. This is after excluding the inmates, those ones who are restricted because of certain reasons, the ones that are overage, and refugees in camps. I want to affirm to you that I will consult His Excellency the President with regards to overage children. Well, the overage guys, if in his wisdom he feels they should be able to join schools, so why not? Isn't it? Admitting all this will complete our plan of admitting 100% in line with our 100% transmission from primary to secondary school, as required by Article 53, bracket 1, bracket B of the Kenya Constitution, on provision of free and compulsory basic education to the Kenyan child. This year, we have gone strictly by merit and students' choices. The dilemma of thousands of KCPE candidates choosing the same school as option 1. Kenyans are very interesting people, isn't it? This year, if it is Pangani, then the following year, next, everybody chooses Pangani first. Are we together? So I wish to outline the dilemma of the ministry in placing top KCPE performers in schools of their choices. This year we discovered that candidates considered capable of scoring top marks in KCPE have a tendency to select just a few schools. Unfortunately, the top schools that are an envy of every candidate have no capacity to admit all of them. This disadvantages the candidates in the sense that missing their first choices leaves them at the mercy of the remaining schools, and some of which might not be interested, some of which they must not be interested in. For example, first of all, ignore the data that is in the press this year. Pangani this year attracted 111,817, and the spaces available are 336. Where is the principal? Pigeni makofi kwa kidogo. Alliance National School 83,489. Ako wapi? Mwangi. Oh, where ndio Mwangi?
She's from the government.
Oh. Then Thika High School 49,000. No, the Kenya High School 49,727 for 336. Where is the principal? Now, so that is a dilemma. So you will hear a lot of noise. Don't listen to it. Because the total capacity of those three schools is just about 1,100. And the total numbers we are dealing with here are over 200,000. So put cotton wool in your ears and don't listen to any noise. Because we have made sure that every child and every region has been given justice. County and secondary school capacity challenges. During the selection, we noted that the challenge of inadequate capacities of places in secondary schools in some counties, and I wish to mention just a few. Starting with Nairobi, the candidature, 63,973. The capacity, 23,613, leaving a deficit of almost 40,000. In Mombasa, candidature is 18,989. Capacity is a paltry 5,126, leaving a deficit of close to 14,000. And Kilifi, just to mention a few, candidature of 34,404 against a capacity of 10,493, leaving a deficit of nearly 24,000. Ladies and gentlemen, so when you hear the noise, it is not because anybody has taken any money from anywhere. Up to this point, I can bet my life on that process. Faced with these challenges, the ministry opted to place learners from these counties to schools in neighboring counties and not in schools of their choices. And this number, I think, was just about 30,000. I therefore call upon the leadership of these counties to provide the enabling environment for the establishment and expansion of secondary schools. And I want to address the Nairobi politicians, the MPs. They make a lot of noise. But apart from the school that is being built in Kibera, whatever name it is, I don't know which other secondary school is being built here in Nairobi. So I want to challenge them. Instead of the noise, can each of you give us about 2 or 3 secondary schools? And since you are about 17, that will give us a number that And this can be done within the year, so that next year we don't have this problem. Overall, due to skewed candidate choices or unavailability of vacancies in home counties, the ministry placed only 30,000 candidates in schools that they had not picked, although they reflected their level. And the schools that we placed them, we insisted, reflected the level of their performance. Are we together? We took time. So if it is extra-county schools, we looked around how they performed, and a child was given a school that suited his performance. So that was justice for that child. I wish to ask parents and guardians and teachers to work closely with candidates during the process of selecting schools to ensure that they make the right choices, and there should be 11. So instead of taking students to places where we are sure they were not going to go, you may find that we selected an extra-county school that we are sure you will go. And that process should also not elicit a lot of noise. Candidates' failure to follow selection guidelines. A sizable number of candidates opted to select only 1 or 2 choices of secondary schools against the required 11, thus limiting placement by their preferred choices. So the ministry again opted to place such candidates in schools matching their marks and capacity, even if they had not chosen them. Going forward, ladies and gentlemen, head teachers should work with parents to ensure candidates make choices as per their own guidelines.